Are the best CEOs introverts or extroverts? I remember growing up, my dad had a big personality, and one of my uncles had an even bigger personality. And I really enjoyed being in social gatherings with them because they were so fun. They told stories, they cracked jokes, they were the center of attention. And as you're growing up, you're trying to figure out, how can I be better in categories? How can I be a better conversationalist? How can I be more entertaining at social events, etc.? So I determined that I was going to work to improve my social skills, joke telling skills, etc. And I wanted to be very much like my dad or like my uncle because I just found they brought so much joy and fun to conversations. But honestly, it wasn't natural for me. Whereas with them, it was natural for them. They were just being themselves. And I'll never forget one day when I was driving with, I think, my then fiance, now my wife, Kate. And we were going to a social gathering. And she said, "Hey, just remember, you don't need to be the life of the party." And I shared with her that I really enjoyed how my dad and uncle were the life of the party and how much joy and just kind of love that they brought to events. And she said to me some really wise words. She said, "Yeah, but you aren't them. That's natural for them. That's who they are. If you try to do that, it comes across as fake or forced. Be yourself. Be genuine. It's okay to have thoughtful conversations in a corner. Be yourself. People like you for who you are and who your personality is. And it's awkward if you try to be someone you're not." So going back to the question of being an extrovert or introvert CEO, I embrace that and I realize it's better to be who I am than to try to be somebody else. And one time I was the CEO of a company of about 30 employees, maybe 35 at the time. And somebody asked whether my introverted personality was sufficient for the growth that the company was experiencing. And I remember the COO said to that person, "Actually, some of the best CEOs are introverted. You may not see them on the news, you may not hear about them out there, but some of the best CEOs I've worked with are introverted." I found some comfort in that, but more importantly, as I've thought about that over the years and observed the temperaments of CEOs, founders, and business owners I work with, I've observed that there's a big cross section from introvert to extrovert, from creative to practical nuts and bolts. I remember one CEO I met who was extraordinarily successful. To give you an idea, he would give away millions of dollars every year to charities. So that gives you an idea of how much money was coming in. He was an extreme introvert, kind of an engineer mindset. He built a school, and when he built that school, or before he bought the property for it, he measured precisely how many miles it would be from his office and from his home, and he also drove it multiple times during traffic. Why? Because he was so concerned about measuring how much time am I going to waste every day or spend every day driving between home, work, and school. And he rejected parcels of land because they wouldn't be ideal for him. His rationale, as I understood it, was it won't make a big deal where this school is located by a few miles one way or the other for most people, but it will for me, and my time is necessary to get this off the ground and to grow it. So he was an example of a CEO who was extremely introverted and intentional. In fact, in a conversation I had with him one time, he said to me, "You are welcome to contact me anytime about the subject of this meeting, I was there for a very specific purpose. But he said, sometimes people reach out to me when they're in other roles in the future and they want my involvement in something. He said, I do not appreciate that. I don't ever want to hear from you unless it relates to the subject you're here today. I've observed very successful CEOs who are extroverted can sometimes struggle with the head down work that needs to be done. But one way they cope with that is often they'll bring in other trusted people and they will have a team collaboration to brainstorm and work through those particular issues. I've seen introverts who struggle with the social aspects or requirements of the CEO job. But they often cope with that by being very intentional about where and when they will be for those social settings. They prepare in advance. What are the goals for this? What are the thoughtful conversations that I can have? And they often focus on having more one-on-one conversations rather than group conversations. So the short version is, whether you are a CEO who's extroverted or introverted, don't worry, you can be highly successful in your role. But I think the key is being honest about who we are, what our limitations are, and how do we mitigate the weaknesses while maximizing the strengths. So when we have weaknesses, what can we do to make those not have as much of a negative effect on the company? And when we have strengths, how do we maximize those and take those to the next level? For example, if you are a head-down introvert type CEO, maximizing that and saying, hey, I don't need to do all these social events. I'm instead going to use my time to grow the company in the areas where I have strengths. All right, if you find these videos helpful and you're interested in little short videos, little snippets, some of the best excerpts from the videos that we've produced, you can find those by searching for Aaron Hall Attorney on TikTok, on Instagram, and various other social media platforms. So feel free to follow us there, especially if you are interested in that short form content, which is some of the best little snippets of legal questions presented by business owners. I'm Aaron Hall, an attorney for business owners and entrepreneurs. If you would like to get more videos like this, feel free to follow this channel by subscribing. And I encourage everybody to subscribe at aaronhall.com/free. That's where you can get some exclusive videos helping business owners avoid common and expensive legal problems and help grow your company so you achieve success in your company and hopefully as well in your life. Thanks for joining me here today.